All right, let's jump right into today's explainer. If you're aiming for that elite top-tier score, that elusive 650 to 800 range on the digital SAT reading and writing sections, you are in the right place. Today, we're laying out a comprehensive 16-week roadmap to get you there. But first, we need to shatter a massive myth right out of the gate. People think the SAT measures innate intelligence or like natural talent. It absolutely doesn't. Think of this explainer as your personal coach's playbook. We're going to break down the exact timeline, the strategies, and the mindset you need to totally conquer this exam. Seriously, listen to this quote from our source material. The SAT is not testing intelligence. It is testing discipline, patterns, and rules. That is a total paradigm shift, right? Every single question on this test has exactly one provably correct answer, period. It's really just a rigid matching game. It is not some abstract test of how smart you are. Once you realize the test relies on these widely agreed upon rules, especially in the writing section, you can finally stop relying on gut feelings. Because, let's be honest, gut feelings usually betray us when we're stressed and dealing with test anxiety. Instead, you're going to start looking for the hard evidence. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We're breaking the journey down into 5 progressive phases. First up, foundation and mindset. Then skill by skill mastery, followed by strategy and speed control. After that, we hit practice tests and error analysis, and finally, we wrap up with score polishing. So, starting right off with phase 1, foundation and mindset. This covers your first 2 weeks. During these first 2 weeks, your main objective is to break those old passive testing habits. You literally need to condition your brain for strict SAT logic. Remember, speed only comes after accuracy. So here's your daily study template. It's a structured 2 to 3 hour daily grind. You're going to spend 30 minutes on grammar rules, 40 minutes tackling reading passages, 30 minutes of rigorous error review, and 20 minutes specifically prioritizing vocabulary and context. Think of it like disciplined athletic training, but for your brain. Consistency here is the secret sauce that builds those high scores. Now, during that daily 30-minute grammar block, you've got to focus on the core, non-negotiable rules. We're talking subject-verb agreement, verb tense consistency, pronoun clarity, and absolutely crucial stuff here, punctuation. Commas, semicolons, colons, dashes. The test is strictly assessing widely agreed upon grammatical conventions, no weird exceptions. Because of that, you need to be drilling 10 to 15 of these specific rule-based grammar questions every single day without fail. You really need to be able to tell the difference between a fragment, like a broken link, and a complete sentence that functions like a solid chain. Recognizing an independent clause from a dependent one is critical for nailing those punctuation questions. A really cool, highly effective trick here, just mouth out the text in your head. Seriously, by actually hearing the sentence, your brain naturally picks up on where a pause belongs or if a verb sounds completely out of whack. It makes spotting the correct punctuation almost effortless. But listen, we aren't just mastering content here, we're mastering the digital arena itself. When you're in the Blue Book digital SAT interface, time management is everything. Knowing how to actually hide that countdown timer at the top is a total game changer. It prevents you from nervously staring at the seconds ticking down, making sure the technology is working for you, not causing you panic. Oh, and getting comfortable with tools like the embedded Desmos calculator interface for the math section, yeah, that's just as vital. Moving right along to phase 2, skill by skill mastery. This is going to run from week 3 through week 6. In this phase, we systematically break down the reading passages. Here's your weekly progression. Week 3 is all about literature, analyzing character perspectives and tricky tone shifts. Week 4 tackles history, where you learn strategies for decoding that clunky, old-fashioned language and pinning down the author's core argument. Week 5 shifts to social science, which is heavy on cause and effect and data interpretation. Finally, week 6 rounds it out with science, where you'll be dissecting experiments, hypotheses, and charts. And this brilliantly illustrates why you need to use the digital annotation tool, especially for those incredibly dense literature or history passages. Use it to build a mental outline or a passage map. By highlighting the main thesis or key transitions, you save yourself from that panicked feeling of having to reread the same paragraph 3 times over. It keeps you actively engaged with the text instead of just sort of passively scanning the words and hoping something sticks. When you hit your science and social science weeks, you're going to encounter a lot of data. You might see a chart tracking complaints, for example. The goal here is extracting quantitative evidence. But the real skill? It isn't just reading the graph. It's directly linking that specific data back to the textual evidence in the passage. You have to make absolutely sure the numbers perfectly support the single, provably correct answer based on the text itself. All right, on to phase 3, strategy and speed control. This covers weeks 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so now that you actually know the rules and the passage types, you've got to sequence your questions to maximize your efficiency. You do not have to answer questions in the order they give them to you. Here's the sequence we recommend. Attack the fastest questions first. Get those vocabulary and context and specific detail questions out of the way immediately. That banks precious time. Then move on to inferences and complex evidence pairing. Always save the broad, big picture, central idea questions for last, because by the time you get to them, you've already engaged deeply with the entire text. I really want you to internalize this ultimate discipline mantra. Intuition is a trap. The source text makes this crystal clear. Eliminating those trickle distractor choices means you have to physically link your answer to one specific, provable line in the text. If you find yourself assuming outside knowledge or thinking, well, maybe it means this, you are falling right into a trap. Stick strictly to the text. That brings us to phase 4, practice tests and error analysis, spanning weeks 10 through 13. This phase right here, this is the crucible. The big secret is that reviewing your mistakes should actually take you way longer than taking the test itself. So the crucial point is that you absolutely must use a weekly error log system. For every single question you get wrong, follow these 4 steps. First, record the exact question type. Second, specifically document why your choice felt tempting but was actually wrong. Third, explain why the correct answer is the right one. And fourth, cite the exact grammar rule or line of text evidence. Categorizing your mistakes by pattern like this is literally the secret to massive score improvement. When you track your errors this diligently, you're going to start seeing these recurring trap patterns. It's like a light bulb goes off. You might notice, wow, I constantly misuse commas. Or I keep falling for answers that sound formal but are actually totally wrong. Maybe your reading logic breaks down because you skip over transition words, or you keep bringing in outside knowledge instead of relying purely on what's written. Once you categorize these specific patterns, you can actually fix them. Just a quick reminder on why extreme accuracy in the beginning of the test is so incredibly important. The Bluebook app uses adaptive modules. What does that mean? Well, your performance on the standard difficulty module 1 directly dictates whether you get an easier or much harder module 2. If you trigger that harder second module, which is what you want for a top score, pattern recognition, strict grammar rules, and time management become even more crucial to finish strong. Finally, we arrive at phase 5, score polishing. This is the final stretch, covering weeks 14 through 16. You've made it to the end game. This is where you transition from building foundational skills to true advanced mastery. Your goal right now is a margin of 0 to 4 errors. You achieve this by running rapid-fire grammar drills, giving punctuation rules one last obsessive review, and really tightening up your evidence-based thinking. This is how you confidently swat away those incredibly distracting, almost right answers that try to trick you with tiny, subtle flaws. To actually execute this 16-week playbook, you're going to need the right tools. We highly recommend using the College Board's official adaptive practice tests right inside the Bluebook app. Pair that with Khan Academy so you can track your consistent progress. Books by Erica Meltzer or question banks from places like UWorld are also absolutely fantastic for getting that sheer volume of rule-based practice you need. So, I'm going to leave you with this one final provocative question. Are you ready to stop relying on luck and start trusting the rules? Seriously, the SAT isn't measuring your genius, it is measuring your discipline. If you followed this 16-week playbook, put in the work to build your foundation, and log your errors honestly, you are absolutely going to unlock that top-tier score. I know you're capable of it. Get out there and crush it.